Jamaicans are more African than certain Africans here on the African continent.
Yeah.
I love these Jamaicans because they know the truth and they know where they're from. They understand Africanism, true Pan-Africanism. Jamaicans
that comes from within for the Jamaicans, African unity, Pan-Africanism.
We need look, Jamaicans, you are welcome to your motherland anytime, any day. Even in my house, you're welcome. These Jamaican people are the best when it comes to this, and they show so much support even for Burkina Faso's Captain Ibrahim Traore. Yes, the Jamaicans are out here. I saw you guys protesting on the 30th of April in support, in solidarity with Captain Ibrahim Traore. In my opinion, the only one and truly head of state of Africa.
Ghana has more Jamaican flags than some Jamaican neighborhoods, and that's not an accident. While the world debates who belongs where, Africans have already decided Jamaica isn't just an island in the Caribbean, it's the 55th African country. Walk through Kampala and hear MCs spitting Patois. Drive through Kumasi and count the red, gold and green flying from every corner. Ask any young African about their heroes and Marcus Garvey's name drops before their own presidents. This is not cultural appropriation. This is spiritual recognition. But what happens when love becomes so deep that geography becomes irrelevant and a tiny island of 3 million people becomes the bridge for an entire continent's identity? Buckle up, Diaspora family. We're about to unpack the most beautiful love affair the black world has ever seen. Let's watch these clips. I'll be back with my further commentary.
All right, so since the CIA is putting up Wilt Chamberlain numbers right now, and they got half the black diaspora in a headlock, we're going to fight fire with fire. I am going to go through the entire diaspora. I am going to mention what I love and appreciate about every single culture in the entire African diaspora. If there's any countries you guys want me to mention or talk about, or even like ethnic groups, I don't use the term tribe, ethnic groups, just go ahead and comment below, and I will respond with what I appreciate and what I love about that diaspora. Now, nobody should be surprised, but I am going to start with the Jamaican. To put how incredible Jamaicans are as a people, as a culture, as a legacy, everything like that, you have to look at the numbers, right? The state of Wyoming, and this is for the Americans, in the US, the state of Wyoming has 10 million people, right? For the Nigerians, I think there's about maybe 12-ish million people in like Kogi State, right? There's not even 3 million Jamaicans. There are not even 3 million people on the island of Jamaica. If you take all the Jamaicans worldwide and count it with the population in Jamaica, you might reach 3 million. But there are not 3 million Jamaicans on the island of Jamaica. Now, keeping that in mind, that tiny island and that relatively small group of people have produced more world-changing, history-making, culture-defining people, ideas, art, food, language, any aspect of human endeavor. They are in the top 3, right? If they're not number 1, worldwide. And they never forced any of it on anybody. But the flavor level was just so high with how Jamaicans do what they do that everybody gravitates towards it. So that's why I'm starting with Jamaicans. I love Jamaica. I love Jamaicans. I have an Igbo language school. We get a lot of Jamaican students just because of the common ancestry. And one of the things that really keeps me going and makes me feel good is when you guys notice the Igbo words in your patois. That's just one of my favorite things in the world. I can take it all the way back to music, right? Jamaican music has had a profound impact on my life. I'm a very, very old school dub reggae person. But just the whole gauntlet, dancehall, everything like that, I'm with it, right? I can even go all the way back to big band, right? That kind of thing. The most impactful song in my life, like ever, is Jimmy Cliff. And it's funny, I can't think of the name because I had it on my dad had it on a tape and it was unlabeled. So I just knew the song, but I didn't know the name. But I think the name is Come Our Way by Jimmy Cliff, right? This is the most important song in my life. And most people will give you either a Jamaican athlete, artist, art, concept, creative, whatever, that will probably rank in their top 10, right? Or else you just don't have a soul. So I'm a Nigerian. I love Jamaicans. The first diaspora group I'm showing love to is the Jamaicans. I got love for all.
Hey, hello folks. Big shout out today to Jamaicans and Caribbean. Like, there's no amount of love that an African gets in the diaspora than from a Jamaican. Jamaicans, we love you, and just it's in gratis, like free love, man. I've lived across the world, and Jamaicans, yo, we love you back. We love you back. You are part of Africa, man. You're just one of the African diaspora, the main diaspora. We love you, Jamaica.
Welcome back, good people. Know what's world? I was in Accra last year, standing at a street corner counting flags. Not Ghanaian flags, Jamaican flags. Red, gold, and green. Everywhere, more Bob Marley faces painted on walls than I've seen in Kingston. And it hit me, Africa has adopted Jamaica so completely that some Africans genuinely believed Jamaica is part of the African continent. Wagwan, my people. Alright, so let us sink in for a second. A Caribbean island 4,200 miles from the nearest African coast has somehow become more African than some places actually in Africa. This is not just cultural appropriation, family. This is spiritual magnetism. I'm talking about a connection so deep that Ugandan music is 90% dancehall inspired. I'm talking about teenagers in Lagos practicing Patois like it's their native tongue. Like, have you seen Canelo from Kenya? I'm talking about Ibrahim Traore getting more support protests in Jamaica than some African countries could muster. And before you say this is just music or fashion, no. This runs deep than Bob Marley's bass lines and sharper than Shabarank's delivery. Let's start where this all began. Marcus Garvey, the man who said Africa for Africans before most Africans even knew they needed to say it. While European colonizers were busy dividing Africa with imaginary lines, Garvey was drawing real connections across oceans. Garvey didn't just preach Pan-Africanism, he embodied it. His Universal Negro Improvement Association had chapters from Harlem to Johannesburg. But here's the thing, Garvey's message hit different coming from Jamaica. It wasn't coming from the colonized continent telling people to resist. It was coming from someone who had already figured out how to be proudly and unapologetically black in a world that demanded otherwise. Bob Marley's One Love was not just a song. It was Garvey's philosophy, wrapped in a melody that could cross any border. And when that music hit African shows in the 70s and 80s, I can tell you even today, it is not even an entertainment. It is permission to dream beyond colonial borders. We are one people in Africa. Here's what my heart broke and healed simultaneously. Talking to African youth who told me they used to pretend to be Jamaican because Jamaicans seem so comfortable with being black. Think about that weight. Imagine being made to feel ashamed of your own heritage to the point where you adopt someone else's identity. But that identity celebrates the same exact truths you are taught to hide. Jamaicans never got the memo about being apologetic for their culture. While other former colonies were still negotiating their post-colonial identity, Jamaicans were out here saying, we run things run now we their whole nation chest. They celebrated African ancestry when it was not cool, claimed their blackness when it was not safe, and made their smallness feel infinite. Jamaica is massive. The confidence became contagious. When a Jamaican walks into a room anywhere in Africa, they are not walking as foreigners. They are walking in as family who figured out the assignment early. They are our people. Jamaica is a tiny island, yes, smaller than Qatar, with fewer people than the city of Nairobi. Yet somehow they've produced more globally recognized cultural exports than countries 50 times their size. I know you're asking yourself, how? Because Jamaica understood something that took the rest of us decades to learn. Authenticity travels further than resources. Reggae didn't just influence African music, it liberated it. Before dancehall hit East African musicians, I come from East Africa, Kenya, by the way. We're still trying to sound European after they started sounding like themselves, just with a Jamaican accent. I've watched Ghanaian DJs seamlessly blend Afrobeats with dancehall rhythms. I've seen South African amapiano artists incorporating Jamaican vocal patterns. This is not imitation. This is evolution. As someone who has lived between continents, I understand this. Jamaica Africa love affair on a cellular level. I know it. Growing up in my African relatives will talk about home with this mixture of pride and pain, proud of where they came from, pained by the distance. But when they talked about Jamaica, that pain disappeared because Jamaica was still home. Jamaica became the proof of concept. If a small island could maintain such strong African identity while creating something uniquely their own, then maybe the diaspora wasn't about loss. Maybe it was about multiplication. I hope one day I'll come to visit Jamaica. I remember my grandmother who never left Kenya singing Bob Marley's songs in Swahili and mixing them one love, one heart, or that Swahili Afrocom, because in her mind, Bob Marley wasn't singing from Jamaica. He was singing from Africa, right? When Captain Ibrahim Traore was making moves in Burkina Faso, who hit the streets in solidarity? Jamaicans, not just few activists, thousands. Jamaicans were protesting French neocolonialism in West Africa, while some West African nations were still figuring out their positions. This isn't new. Jamaica has been showing up for Africa since before. It was trending. During apartheid, Jamaica boycotted South African sports. During independence movements, Jamaican musicians were making liberation songs. During coups and conflicts, Jamaican voices were among the loudest, calling for justice in Africa. But here's what makes it sacred. They never asked for anything back. No trade deals, no political leverage, no economic incentives. Just love, just recognition, just the understanding that African liberation and Caribbean liberation are the same liberation with different addresses. I've met Africans who were genuinely confused when they learned Jamaica wasn't physically connected to Africa. Not because they're geographically challenged, but because emotionally, spiritually, culturally, Jamaica feels more connected to Africa than some African countries feel to each other. I'll give an example. Kenya and Somalia. We're not connected to Somalia, but I feel connected to Jamaica, right? So people like Marcus Garvey planted seeds that Bob Marley watered, that Jimmy Cliff cultivated, that every Jamaican who has ever said Jah Rastafari while acknowledging the African roots continue to grow. This love affair works both ways. Jamaicans don't take from African culture. They give back cultural confidence. They show Africans that you can be small and mighty, that you can honor your roots while growing new branches, that you can be proudly black and globally influential at the same time. What Jamaica and Africa have created challenges every conventional understanding of nationalism, citizenship, and belonging. They've proven that shared values, culture, DNA matter more than shared borders. They have shown that family is not just about blood. It is about recognition, respect, and reciprocal of love. In a world that's increasingly divided by artificial boundaries, people are divided by political views and religion, the Jamaica and Africa connection offers a different model. One where identity transcends geography, where culture creates currency, and where love literally moves mountains, or at least moves hearts across oceans. So when I see Jamaican flags in Kenya, when I hear Patois being spoken in Uganda or Ethiopia, whenever Jamaicans protest for African causes, I don't see cultural confusion. I see cultural clarity. I see a people who understood assignment before the assignment was even given to them. Jamaica may not be the 55th African country on an official map, but it's the first African country in the minds of millions. And maybe that's exactly what it belongs, not as a place you can point to on a map, but as a feeling you can carry in your heart. The Jamaica Africa love affair is not just a beautiful story, it is a blueprint. It shows us that diaspora unity is not about being black. It's about moving forward together. We're not going back anyway. It's about recognizing that every black of the African tree, branch of the African tree, no matter how far it travels, it is still part of the same root system. So Next time you see Jamaican flag in Lagos or a Nigerian artist channeling Shabaranks, right? Don't call it imitation. Call it recognition. Call it family recognizing family. Call it love transcending geography. By their love, Shensia. Because in the end, that's all this is. The most powerful love affair the black world has ever witnessed. Jamaica and Africa. Proving that home isn't just where you're from. It's where your heart feels home. We say one love, one heart, one Africa. Whether that art Africa is in Ghana, Jamaica, Kenya, or wherever black people choose to plant their flag and call it home. One people forever. In the spirit of Marcus Garvey, in the spirit of Nelson Mandela, in the spirit of Ibrahim Traore, our new martyr who is ready to be a martyr for Africa. I say, one gone my people. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, comment and share. Let us become a family. Much love from Kenya. 254 the land of Simba.